There's-
Everyone.
Welcome everybody. I'm just allowing folks in. Feel free to turn your cameras on so we can see your faces, but of course it's not required. While we allow folks in, drop your location in the chat. Love to see where people are at. So you can see, let me see. Drop your Atlanta, Paris,
Hey,
Tampa, Brooklyn. What time is it in Paris? New Jersey, Oakland, Houston, St. Louis, Canada.
oh,
Amazing.
I love this.
7. Okay, 7 p.m. Nice. Just allowing people in. London, Texas, Portland, DC, the Bronx.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I love to see it. Okay, just allowing people in. Thanks, y'all, for putting it on your cameras if you want. Just be mindful that we all can see you guys. Let's see. Oh my goodness. So many places. Pittsburgh, Jersey.
Philly.
Amazing. Philly, Toronto. Love it. I'm at work.
Awesome.
Nice.
I love it.
Brooklyn, Bay Area. Okay. Just allowing people in. As I do that, I'm just going to say, y'all, for those who don't know me, I'm Polly. I'm the founder of Black Women Photographers. Launched the community about, thank you, launched the community about 7 months ago, which is crazy. Around the same time that you guys started working together, I think. And I'm just really excited to chat with you guys. So I was telling Donte Ahmad earlier that I put together a dream list of people who I love to hear from for this community to tap into. And luckily, they both said yes. And so we're so excited to have this conversation. This conversation is in partnership with Adobe Lightroom. So shout out to Adobe for that. Um, and yeah, I think I said what I needed to say. We have over 100 people from everywhere, which is amazing. We have a lot to talk about.
Hey.
Donte, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Yes. We are ABDM, of course. I am the DM side of it. I'm Donte, Maurice, and I'm like very excited for this. I told Polly that we've been talking about this all week, and just been ready to ramble on and answer any questions and just expound upon what we've been working on. We're fairly, even though we've been doing photography for like a good minute, we're fairly new to the industry. So like this has all been a different process of learning for us too.
Amazing. Thank you. And Ahmad.
Yes, I'm Ahmad Barber. I am the AB to the DM. And yes, as Ashley said, we have been working for quite some time, but we are, I think, 8 months in now with February into the industry. And we definitely have done a lot over that time. And hope today we can give you guys, you all, a lot of insight, a lot of stories, any tips, tools, whatever. I'm excited to have the conversation.
Amazing. So when I think about where to start, it's like, where do I even begin? I love to hear for you, Ahmad, to start us, take us back to the beginning of your journey, and where it started for you. I know you don't actively tweet anymore, which is good for you. Like you're protecting your mental health. like
Um,
I love it. But I saw one of your earlier tweets, like way back in 2013. Y'all can see this. I have tweets pulled up for everybody. In 2013, you tweeted, "My creativity will shine bright next month in so many capacities. Please brace yourself." And that was in 2013. So please tell us, how long have you been putting in work? Take us to, 2013 or earlier for when you started your journey.
so that was the month that I had decided I wasn't going to med school. And I went to Morehouse College. I was a biology and math double major, and my intention was to go to school for anesthesiology because that's what my family wanted me to do. So I started like at the age like 15, 16, using photography as my voice. I am extremely introversive. So it was my way to like connect with people in high school and kind of like speak like via self-portraits. So like if you guys look me up, you'll find my Flickr and stuff like that. Like I have like all of these like random self-portraits and stuff like that, and even some of my earlier work. And it was just a way, I didn't look at it as a revenue stream or a career early on. It was just like a way for me to speak and get my thoughts out. So if I was sad, I would post that, or if I felt like putting on a costume, I would do that. But that month, I remember we were having at Morehouse, we have to have like exit counselor interviews where at the beginning of the semester, you have to have like these talks with your counselor to figure out what you're going to do, like what you have to do to wrap up the semester. And that was the literally, I remember that day or that period where I had to talk with my counselor about like why I'm not taking the MCAT, which is like the entrance exam to qualify to go to med school. And I'm like, I'm not taking it. I don't want to do it. Med school is going to be crazy and expensive and monotonous. And I'm going to do creativity. And I had made that decision over Christmas break going in. And, you know, that was the moment I was like, well, I'm going to take this seriously and make it a career and, you know, make this my full-time thing. And I think at that time I had literally like started my website that December before that, like my first website. And I had just really was like, I'm gonna really try to do this thing. So that's kind of like where I kind of like started the full-time creative photography experience. And then like since then, you know, I'm fully self-taught. So it was just like trial and error on a lot of things. A lot of like the idea of what editorial photography or even fashion photography is all just trial and error from there.
Amazing. And then for you, Donte, take us back. Where do you feel like it started for you?
I think it started for me when I really wanted to be like an actor and all that stuff. Like especially
Mm.
in high school, I was like, okay, that would be a cool, something to go into. I met with this agent and he like destroyed my dreams. And I was like, dang, well, if I can't be in front of the camera, I'm just be behind the camera. And so then like right after that, I really just started, immersing myself in magazines. That's when Tumblr was heavy. So I was like looking at Tumblrs. I was, going just reblogging photos, curating like little things on my Tumblr page, and that's when I realized like I really love photos. I really love editorial. I really loved those the campaign, the work, all those things. And so I remember around the end of July, I feel like it's either the 23rd or the 30th of 2013 is when I got like my first DSLR camera. And I was doing like landscape shots, nature shots in my backyard, and that was the summer right before college. So then once I really got to college, and I got to meet a lot of people who also like maybe wanted to model or just even other photographers. That's when I really started going into it. And just like Ahmad, I was fairly self-taught. I did do an internship for a little bit under Derek Blanks in Atlanta for a few months, and then I kind of went. I couldn't go out there as much. I didn't have a car then, so I just kind of learned everything on my own and tried to figure out everything on my own. And then I met Ahmad in 2018. I was coming out the bathroom, and he was coming down the stairs of this co-working studio space that we never knew each other shot at, which was like so crazy. And that was really right before. So how we even got to that, I got hit up to do this campaign in 2018, and they were telling me that I needed somebody to help me with the shoot. And I was like, nah, like I'm used to doing shoots on my own. Like I like just doing stuff on my own. They're like, nah, you really need an assistant. And I was like, fine. So I put out a request on Instagram stories, and he answered. And as soon as he answered, I deleted the post because I was like, I got him out. I don't need nobody else. Like this man is the top of the top of the top of the line. So I'm good. And so then literally right, we never met each other before. We probably talked here and there on social media.
Wow.
But then out of nowhere, when I was coming out the bathroom, he was coming down the stairs, and that was our first time meeting. We're just like, whoa, well, I guess I'll see you in a
Oh
couple of
my
days.
goodness.
And so we did the shoot, and they were like, yo, so how long have you guys been friends? And we're like, well, this is really our second time meeting. And they're like, what? Like, it seemed like y'all been friends for like years. And we're like, nah. So we've kind of been like this since
That is
that very moment.
insane. Like the chat is everyone in the chat is saying what? Because it really feels like y'all have known each other forever. Like y'all are childhood friends or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and, you know, it actually like from day one, like before we even got into the shoot that day, I remember like we had like sat in the car and like talked about so much random stuff like an hour or so before the shoot. And just
Yeah.
literally, honestly, since that day, like we kind of like that's what sparked us even just working together as a photography duo is because we were at every shoot with each other. Like every shoot, no matter paid, hail, high water, we were always at each other's shoot
Yeah.
just to be an extra hand, extra eyes, moral support, just to be there. So, we took that idea and was like, well, we might as well do it and both, just approach the same job. And we learned like different ways that we work with each other.
Mm.
Um, I like to say that Donte is the heart of the group and I am the mind because we think in different ways. Where Donte
Very
is
much so.
very, uh,
I'm
he's
very
very,
emotional
yeah, he's very,
and
very
spastic
emotional.
and
Um,
impulsive.
yeah, and I'm more like let's get it done, structured, and that's come from my science background. That has a lot to do with it. So I think with logic and the more detailed perspective first. So, but what it has done is even outside of our way of thinking, Donte comes from a portraiture perspective where he is very in touch with intimacy, emotion in photographs. Where I'm have been more focused on fashion. I got a little bit into portraiture, but not in the way that Donte had. And my thing was like movement and how the garment moves, how's the body
Mm.
moving, and things like that. And so when we put those two together, we have this like very diverse but balanced way of approaching an image.
And that's actually like the perfect way to explain it, to be honest, because and then after working together so much, at first I feel like blood couldn't make us any closer. Like we're always talking to each other every day. We're always just like laughing, joking around, and we get each other, especially on set. It's like having your best friend, your sibling on set. It makes things a lot easier. Like when you go to the events, you by yourself, like it's awkward. But like when you have that one person with you, you
Right.
know that that's our dynamic. Like I know when he gets upset, so I know when I have to take over, or he knows when I gets upset, when I get upset, and then he takes over. So it's like having that perfect balance.
Or even like beyond that, like we also have there's certain jobs where I'm like, Dante, this is your job. You're gonna take the lead on this one, and he knows like there are certain things that may be more suited for me to take the lead on
Mm-hmm.
too. So we like even on the post production, even on our vibe on set, like we plan to do better about BTS this year, guys. But if you are on set with us, you will feel like we are like not even on set because we just have fun. But then when it comes down to it and we need to get the job done, it's kind of like a drop of a hat. It will turn into a very professional and laid back set
Yeah.
as well. But it's like time and time again, we get the sentiment that working on set with us is very refreshing, and and how we approach the jobs is very refreshing because we have a certain energy that is very welcoming, warm, relaxed, but we also are able to get the job done in a way that people don't expect because we are
Yeah.
young and new to the industry. People don't expect us to execute at the level that we are right now.
And I feel like too, like Ahmad is the person that helps get the job done, especially like during the shoot. Because like before the shoot, I'm about to play music, we about to dance, we about to have a good time.
Uh-huh.
But then once the shoot happens, I'm like, all right, Ahmad, it's your time to shine. I ain't got nothing. I ain't
Yeah,
got nothing for the people.
yeah. I mean, but that's my science way of thinking. I'm more focused on like how many looks do we have to do, how many images do we have to get, and, how do we execute it. Um, in the chat we do have assistants that we bring on set. It's not just us. We work with a lot of different people in different cities and things like that. So we're always looking for new people. We are very communicable and community oriented, so our vibe is always to develop and create that world of people that fit within our community. So yes, we're always looking for people to be on set with us.
Yes, yes. So I want to take us to two of Dante's tweets. In 2018, you said, you never know where you'll be in 6 months, let alone a year. I've been learning how to just relax. Do I love to do, have faith, pray, and trust the process.
That is
And
wild.
then in 2017, you said, guys, I believe that I had
Yeah.
truly had the potential to be shooting with Team Vogue, Nylon Complex, and more. Retweet, retweet, tell my brother out in 2017. And then you followed that up with, man, I think this was, let me see, yeah, in 2020 of November, you followed that up with saying, man, Ahmad and I just say, don't give up, y'all. Keep going, keep shooting, keep growing, keep praying, keep creating, keep taking risks. So I brought those up just to show, I mean, a few things, I mean, points were made with both of them, but really just to show that, like, y'all have been doing this, you know, for a few years. This didn't just happen overnight, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, think about, you guys shared a little bit about your journeys prior to that, but what would you say would be like the, you know, turning points for you all before you started shooting the covers with, you know, Zendaya and others? Like, I mean, I could list them all off, but I think everyone in here knows how many covers. um, like, you know, what would you say would be like the defining point? Do you remember your first like assignment together? Just talk to us about that, and then we'll get into some of the work as well.
Man, what
Um,
was are we
I
was
would,
Zendaya our
I would,
first assignment together?
so yeah, I would say I can answer that in a few different ways. I think as I'm just you posing that question, bringing so many things to mind because Dante and I have been through much more than we can remember. And like, you know, there's a lot of small lessons that intertwine into a lot of our creative development, our professional development as professional working photographers, the bond between each other, and all of that. So that question can be answered in many different ways. I think the defining moment would be City Girls. I think that would be the
Mm.
shoot that's ordered some steps to get to Zendaya. And the most transparent one is us meeting Law Roach, who um, gave us the opportunity in working with InStyle and Zendaya
Mm.
for the September issue, but we met him on that shoot. I remember sitting in the car headed to a photo shoot with Donte and getting that call that they had reached out to him and that we would be seeing Law Roach on set, and it was this big old thing, and we were talking about all the garments he was going to be bringing. But I think
Man, I was
before that,
scared.
yeah, it was
I
a lot.
was scared. Yeah, because like I'm thinking that, previously working with Billboard, it's been like, minor projects that Ahmad have all been on. But then when this project came, they sent me the call sheet. I'm like, yo, they really feed me to the sharks on this one. Like, they got all the big dogs on here. I'm like, ah, crap. Like I'm nervous. And Ahmad was like, you got this. Like, we got this. We gonna make it happen. And I think around that time too, we were filming Welcome to Atlanta.
I
Welcome to
was
eight. Well,
Wait. So this is what I was about to say. I was about to say I remember December of last year being a very big turning point for us because we had made the decision. Like we were in this phase of like, well, what's next?
mm,
We were very uncomfortable because we felt like we were ready for the next level, but we were like, well, we don't see it. We don't see the light at the end of the tunnel of when we gonna have our break or anything. So it was very uncomfortable because we were like not super happy with where we were, and not even with who we were working with and all that type of stuff. We were grateful. We were like, oh, we need those bigger jobs. We need those bigger things. But then it was
mm.
like other branches of our lives that were also expanding, where Dante was finally getting into acting because he had this like documentary, not documentary, but like it was like a reality
It
TV
was. I don't
type
even know.
thing.
Yeah. If y'all ever get a chance to watch it, please watch it. It's very funny.
Well,
It's
what's the
very
title?
funny.
Tell them the title so they can know.
Oh,
Yeah.
so we started like this little series called Welcome to Atlanta, Welcome to ATL, and it's like a little like coming of age dance film, just like friends, like we're all just having a good time, you know, dancing and laughing and reading off scripts and stuff like that. So please watch that whenever you get a chance. But
It's shot by
that
young
happened around the same, yeah, and that was around the same time that we got alerted about the Billboard job. So I'm like filming that. We're working on equipment list, trying to send stuff off. And that was when we met Donnie for the first time, which is our Digitech here in Atlanta. And it was just like a whirlwind because that was the first cover ever, and Billboard was always on our list to shoot. Like we just knew that one day, like we wanted to shoot a cover of Billboard.
I remember even the day after that shoot. I remember we had like another shoot like the next day after, and again, a lot of times the day after the shoot is always the worst because we have to do selects, and that's the process that really frustrates us because we have to one face the face value of how did we do on the shoot, but then two, figure out what we send to our photo editors is what's going to get chosen. So we have to be very specific about like what gets sent out. And I just remember Donte being like, oh, I don't know if it worked. I don't know what, like, I don't know if I got it. And
I'm the worst one.
I'm like, look, you got this. Look at how this looks. It's great. And, that I just remember us even waiting until it came out, like, oh my God, look. And, of course it was well received, but it was just up until that moment. And even after, I would say like, COVID put a very weird perspective in our mind that, basically put a stop to a lot of the momentum we could have had even early on in 2020. And so like, it was like, again, this uncomfortable space of like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. That we had to work out. But to answer your question, I think Billboard and City Girls was definitely a strong turning point for our career.
Had the best memes ever.
Along those same lines, can you walk us, you talked a little bit about like the post shoot, but can you walk us like a typical day on set? Like what did it look like doing the Zendaya or whichever cover shoot that you'd want to walk us through,
Let's talk about this one.
I was about to say, this is a spicy shoot.
Let's get it. Okay. So we get to the shoot. I think we shot this. Huh? Okay, I got you. We get to the shoot, right? We shot it at Milk Studios. Was it Milk? It was a Milk
in LA. Mm-hmm.
And I remember the first time we pulled up, we were confused because we had to park a block away from the studio, and then we had to find out where the studio was to walk to it. So we get there, we get lost a little bit because Ahmad didn't know where he was going, and then we end up getting to the studio, and we're just like looking at all the equipment, looking at what we have. At that point, we're working with new assistants too, like it wasn't our normal people outside of Kim. That was when we got introduced to Keith Hedgecock and Aaron Morgenstein, and he's very amazing too. And so we get to this set, and everybody, and that's when we got introduced to Ward too at Wooden Ladder, who created the whole set for us. And we went through the whole conversation with Essence. And so we just started setting everything up and getting ready to go. I know everybody got there, Law got there, John, all the makeup and the hairstylists came in. And then all of a sudden we see the gate pull up, and then Zendaya like zooms in her car, and it just hops and then just hops out all gangster like. And we're like, okay, cool. This is our second time working with her at this point, so we're fairly comfortable. And we're like, okay, this is definitely gonna be a fun shoot. So we go to see the wardrobe, and the wardrobe is exactly like the references that we've seen, and so we was very, very excited. And I feel like with this shoot definitely came with a couple of hiccups, but ended up being, everything ended up working in our favor. Everybody ended up being really, really happy with what came out of this shoot. And shout out to Pro Photo's in the chat. Hey,
Pro Photo.
I would say like with that shoot,
it lives rent free in my head. Sorry, just had to say that.
Okay. I think that shoot, like many of our shoots, we prepare a lot before set. Like we put together decks, and we put together all these posing boards, and like basically, and this is me, I'm my science mind. I have to have everything like planned out to the T. We have to kind of have an understanding of what's going on from the moment we step foot. Lighting setups, light gear list, where things are going. And I remember this in particular because we were working with new people. I had went the extra mile to do mock-ups of where the lights are going to go on set, all this type of stuff. But we had to pivot. We had to quickly pivot on set, and it kind of wrenched in our plan because we wanted, as a collective, we wanted to take a different direction. And so with that, we had to literally on the fly, like I'm talking Zendaya standing on set, we're all looking at the computer and it's like, we need to just
This ain't it.
around.
Yeah.
So, you know, like we have to think on our feet and things like that. And so that day, like kind of like put us in a mindset that, you know, honestly, we left that day with some mixed emotions, but overall, we were like, we fucking did that. Like that, this
Yeah.
shoot, like we were so excited for when that shoot was coming out because we were like, this shoot is spectacular. We felt it. We felt like everybody left the shoot that day
Yeah.
like, this looks amazing, you know. And even
I do
after,
want to. I do want to say too, though, that I feel like one of the important lessons. Oh, I want to answer this question. They said, "Where did the concept come from
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
shoot?"
that's what I asked.
So, it came from Law and Zendaya. Like they were sitting on this idea of Danielle Luna for a very very long time, and you know we were honored that they chose us to help do that shoot, especially with like Essence, and you know I feel like it helped mark like a new journey with Essence too that we can take and even like for their shoots earlier on. But what I will say too, just being photographers, and this is a lot of things that I've seen just online, is that that shoot taught us how to collaborate. Like it's all about a collaboration. We want everybody to be happy. A lot of times photographers go into a shoot, especially with clients, like, all right, I like the shot. I don't care if anybody else like the shot. It's just me and that's it. When if you're working with clients who brought you onto a job and who are rooting for you, you know, you want everybody to be happy. You want everybody to make their idea, make sure they feel like their ideas are heard or at least tried out, you know? And I feel like that's one thing that we've definitely learned through, you know, our experiences. Even when we're working with Law and Zendaya, you know, we're working all as a team. You know, that's why we all want to make sure each other get tagged as a team and all that stuff like that, because we're all in the trenches, you know, putting it in. You know, we're all sharing opinions with each other. We all love each other just as much as we all love to shoot.
yeah, community is like one of the biggest things that we build our brand upon. You like every time you hear us speak on any type of panel, any type of quote, anything is going to have that into it because that's how we work. Like we work together as a duo because of community. You know, we community and spirituality is kind of what ABDM is all about. Like we are very deeply, our steps are definitely ordered by God and what we, you know, feel and get that energy back. But two, it's about reaching out, touching, agreeing, you know, bringing people up, bringing people in on jobs. We try to have very diverse sets in terms of our team assistants. We try to give people new opportunities to work with us the same way we have been given opportunities. And so within that, you know, it's not just about bringing people on set, but even learning how to work with different people with different, sometimes strong personalities and things like that. Y'all know law is not one for the faint heart. And so like having the understanding to work with people like that, and then still leave the day ending with love and stuff like that is very important to us. And you know, if we can drop one gem on everybody, I think it would be important to understand that creativity is very collaborative. It's not just about you on set, no matter how big or small you of a set you're running. It's always going to be important for you to consider everybody. It's always going to be in part important for you to consider how everyone works together, how everyone's thoughts work together, and how their role plays into the bigger idea. And communicate that beforehand so that everyone can come to set fully understanding of what they're going to execute so that there's minimal problems on set.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit more about like after, okay, so let's say you did a shoot, what next? You know, do you edit all your photos? Do you outsource? This one question in the chat from Maeva. Do you do your own retouching? Like, and how much, you know, role do you have, I guess? You know, just you mentioned a little bit of like, okay, whatever you send to the photo editors, it's like, you better be happy with that because they may, you know, they'll select it, but do you have any input after the shoot? You know, what does it look like for you guys?
So every shoot,
yeah, I was gonna say like for us, we tend to narrow down things on set. It's much easier to do it with the talent there. Like I know everybody gets kind of nervous about having your talent see the photos, but to be honest, in order for them to also be happy with the shoot, you got to get a feel for what they like, you know, what they like about themselves, you know, whether they like a certain side of their face or maybe they don't like their hands a certain way. So as you go through the work with the talent, you tend to see like, okay, cool, they don't like this, they don't like that. So I know when I'm picking the shots that we like, you know, we know not to choose these shots because they're not going to like this side of their face the way it's looking like that. And so that's the first round that we go to. We let the talent go through, choose what they like to choose. And then after that, we go through after and be like, okay, cool, let's just add this in there because it's like, this looks cool too. This looks really good.
Yeah, and I think so on process end, soon immediately after we leave a shoot, the photo editor or whoever our contact is with our client has given us a post-production schedule. So with that, it is first edit, and we generally send 2 edit folders where it's like our top selects. Like if we had to choose the final spread, the final top images, these would be
And the
ours.
cover.
A cover mock-up. We are very intentional about our edits, so we will sometimes lay out the full spread and do cover mock-ups. And many of our clients really love that because it gives them a perspective to see it within the brand. Then we create a second folder sometimes if there is additional photos that we feel comfortable with, which is will be considered called a wider edit. And both of those folders get sent out to a photo editor. Depending on how quick the turnaround is, we'll get those photos back immediately, or it'll be some time in between. With actually the Essence shoot, there was some time in between. So it was like maybe a couple weeks after we got our edit back, and we sometimes have the autonomy and the responsibility to speak for the talent that we're working with to say, I don't think that's the right shot. So we suggest you like go back to the drawing board, or we alley-oop it to the teams. If we have that connect, we'll alley-oop it to the talent's team so they can pick that conversation up so it's not falling on our shoulders. But after all of that dust is settled, we'll shoot it to our amazing, super dope, the best in the game retoucher, Raphael. He has been our retoucher since our 3rd shoot. And he's here based in Atlanta with us. He's in the chat. I see him. We love you too.
We love you, man. He deals with us every single day.
Yeah, he deals with all the crazy. So I am
big ups.
Donte is the one that's be like, I don't like it. I'm the one to be like, here is my list of complaints.
Yeah.
So he has to deal with both of us, but
pretty much.
So once it goes through retouching, we have to stick sometimes to these gravy schedules where it's like 1 or 2 days, and then we send it to the photo editor. The best case scenario is we send it to them, they have no edits. Sometimes they'll come back with, we still want you to fix this, or take this off, bring this back. We want it to look natural like this and stuff like that. And then it's released from there. We usually don't see anything after the photo sent until like it's almost released. Sometimes, depending on how connected we are to the team, we'll get sneak peeks. And then we can kind of like, I guess an interesting thing with Essence is that we got a sneak peek early on and actually inspired them to expand the covers that were selected. So, there was conversations about one cover and then there was another cover, they just end up using all of them. So
all 4 of them.
So there's sometimes that luxury to have that. But many times it's just, once we send the photos off, we gotta just pray and just hope. So yeah, that's
amazing. And then when it's ready to be released to the world, in a sense, how do you guys ever feel like nervous when you're putting out your covers or whatever?
Oh my god!
How do you feel about actually the reception of it? Like, have you ever felt like, okay, this didn't hit like how it's supposed to?
Oh, yeah.
Talk to us about that after the fact. And then I'll have more questions for you.
I'll speak because Donte is probably going to speak more on this part, but I think we are always nervous because we're very sensitive about our shit. I know that's the Erykah Badu lyric, but guess what? Very sensitive about our work because again, we see the behind the scenes of what it took to get here. So we're very sensitive about like, y'all, like, it's not necessarily about like, if y'all don't like it, it's more so about like, will this be as impactful as it is in our head, or will it just be a drop in the sand somewhere? So yeah, we're always nervous per se.
Okay.
All right, so I'm a very, very emotional person, and that's why I tweet on this a lot. Like, it's hard to have emotions while being in this industry, because if you can't handle your emotions, you're not going to be able to handle other people's emotions. You're not going to be able to handle egos. You're not going to be able to handle professional conversations, decision making, and all that stuff like that. But I say that to say, like, I'm a very, very emotional person, especially when it comes to like shoots being posted. And most of the time, we know exactly when it's coming out, and so we're just like, shoot, like, what if people don't appreciate it? I know for me, it's like, okay, what if people don't appreciate it? Like, we work so hard on this. What if the talent doesn't like it when they see it? So we go through so many different scenarios. And of course, like, people are not going to like everything. People are always going to have some things to say. There's going to be people who, don't know photography much, who just have something to say, which is okay. And you have people who do know photography, but don't know that part of the industry, who have something to say. And you have the people who, who are photographers, who feel like they should be where you are and will have something to say as well. So it's like knowing all those things. But I think like it knowing that something is coming out is going to make you nervous, because you really, for us, is like, we really hope that the talent likes it.
Yeah.
You can tell by like if they post it or not. We're like, okay, cool. Like, are they going to post this shoot?
Post
Then when they
and
do, we're like,
tag
okay, cool.
or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
always the post and well, I mean, I would say we let go the
tag.
tag because industry is industry. But
Yeah.
definitely getting that post of approval or a repost in the Insta story and stuff like that definitely is a good gauge. But I think our safety net there is that we do consult the teams and the talent on set to get a vibe of what they're not feeling, and we learn very literally from the first shoot. And just giving y'all a tidbit, like we on that first September issue with Zendaya, we sat and selected the final photos with her. Like we literally
Like an hour. It was
down.
like an hour.
This is a 12, 13-hour day. We still went through all 1,000-something images, and we're just like,
We mocked it up in front of her, everything.
Yeah. So with that learning and that mindset, we instill that into every shoot. If it's not with the talent, there's usually PR on set that we can, speak to, like, well, what do you think? What do you have concerns about? And things like that. And sometimes, the exact cover that we pitch doesn't get picked, but usually for the most part, the images that we select get in some way used. Is maybe not the cover part is usually what is we're nervous about, because sometimes we pick an image for the cover and that's not the cover. It may be like in the spread, but we know the cover is what hits, like what everybody sees and stuff. So that's probably the part that really like drives us nuts if we don't have an idea of what the cover is going to be. But usually we have a good idea. Well, we know what the photos are because we have to retouch them. We just don't know what the cover is.
But I will say this too. Making really, really good with the team is the golden ticket. The team being everybody, the whole team, everybody being from the glam team to their personal assistant to their PR. Their PR, that's the extreme golden ticket, because they're the ones that like really, how shoots go, depending on the talent, of course. Like there's some PRs that like handle that part, and there's some people who like handle that themselves, or their creative director handles that. But making sure that you're good with everybody. And that's one thing that we make sure that we do. Like, we're making sure that we talk to everybody on set. We make sure we're laughing with everybody on set. Just knowing that, like, and it's important to show your personality. And that's one thing that people talk about a lot with the younger artists, is that we actually show our personality, and that's what makes everybody different.
I mean, and also, like, I think people don't realize how impactful it is to make those connections and get recurring clients, because a lot of our work and our success has been attributed to making that impact on the first job, so they bring us back for the second, third, and fourth job. And
I was just gonna ask that, because
you never, and we're learning now
who they like.
Yeah, like you never know what that second, third, and fourth job is going to be. I mean, sometimes you may work with somebody and you're like, oh, we did this cute little photo shoot today, but you may get run back for a national campaign. You never know. And when you do get run back from that, it might be a bigger bag, a bigger experience, a bigger level that's going to skyrocket you. And we've had the blessing of having that success with a lot of the people that we've shot, where we're now on their list and get put up for everything that they shoot for. So like with someone like Viola Davis, she's one of the people that we shoot a lot, and we'll have more work coming out with her. But
I love that woman.
Her team loves us. We love her. We get her. We've been able to make her look beautiful. Same with Zendaya. We love working with her. We get her look. And, some of these people they just remember us. I'm talking like one person I shot literally in May. The shoot never even released, and I somehow still ended up on her list of people that she wanted to work with, and she's been following her and her team has been following what we're doing, and we end up having a cover with her releasing this month as well. So it's so amazing to, you got to make those connections for sure.
So,
and thank you goes a long way. Saying thank you and thanks for the opportunity goes a long way too.
along those same notes, because there's a few questions in the chat about that. So, you know, if you're an introvert or whatever, how do you like, any tips on actually, you know, making people comfortable, cultivating that safe, you know, space, and, you know, letting your personality shine, but also knowing not, you know, to do too much in a sense.
Yeah.
You still have to remain professional. You know, this is Viola. You've worked with her multiple times, but you guys aren't necessarily friends. You're still in a professional setting. So talk to us about that. And then a follow-up afterwards, you know, how do you, you know, you said send thank you notes, but how else do you maintain those clients, you know, to keep coming back to that?
So I would say for us, it works out because we're two people. So Donte is the personality on set. I am the structure on set. So a lot of people, I play my role very well. And I'm not one to be awkward and make things awkward and try to go out and be all extra and stuff. I am, when I see a lane for me to get in, make some jokes, show people my personality. I see it. A lot of people like, oh, I'm excited to see Ahmad's personality. I'm a very normal person, you know, but I'm introversive. I am very serious at times. So with that, I have to also balance that with knowing when to be assertive and be like, hey guys, why are you wasting time? Stuff like that, or just chilling and letting the day play out. But our dynamic works very well because Donte knows that if he's talking with someone on set and he's building those relationships, I'm still getting the job done. I'm still, you know, speaking with the photo editor or and keeping them at bay, or, you know, knowing or listening and, you know, keeping the idea of the job still there. So we have that idea that we can balance. But when we do get those times where we can laugh with the client and laugh with the people that we're shooting, we do take those moments and, you know, really navigate them well. But we never get too comfortable where we're breaking that wall down that we're not, you know, at work, unless we can. You know, there are definitely some people that we work with that we can, but not always.
I feel like I'm always in that process of breaking that wall down, because I'm the type of person to where, like, I like to see how far I can go with my personality before I know it's like, okay, they're not with it. Now there's some people I'm just like, I'm not gonna play with you.
It's like, it's always that first look. That first look, depending on how the first look go, or like when they first set, how we're greeted, that kind of sets the tone for how things will go. You know, we just shot somebody and they came in, they greeted the entire set. You know, like literally personally walked to each person on set, and so we were like, this is our friend. You know, like we can be work with them.
They literally came up to me and asked me personally for what the Wi-Fi was. And usually, you know, you only get the teammates to do that. So like when that happens, that sets a standard right there. But like, I feel like, you know, with our dynamic, I'm the person, like, I'm gonna be in your face. I'm most likely gonna be the first person that you meet on set, because I'm like, I'm coming right at you, just because like I want to make sure that, like, number one, we're memorable. You know, so I want to make sure that I'm introducing myself, that we're talking, and all those things as well. I just gonna say,
so I would say like that balance is just showing who you are, be true to yourself. I think that's a big thing with us, is that though we are, you know, we have different dynamics, different personalities, we're always true to who we are. We always try to be and represent ourselves in a way that is still very cordial, very nice, very young people. We're not uptight, stuffy people by nature. Our parents raised us very well. So like, you know, there's a certain decorum that we're gonna have regardless of even if the shoot is going bad. We have had the unpleasure of working with some people who didn't even talk to us until the first look. You know, just walked in, didn't say nothing to us, and we have to still navigate through that. But yeah, I mean, I think I would say you have to just get on set and be who you are, be comfortable who you are, but also understand that you are there to do a job. So if you are going to joke, if you are going to have fun, just know at the end of the day, you still have to be able to joke, have fun, and get the job done too.
And for people that are introversive, just know that like just because you're shy and you don't feel like talking, it doesn't mean that you don't have a personality as well. So I know a lot of friends who are, very introverted, who like their time to shine is when they're talking to the talent one on one. So when you're directing the talent, you trying to the best thing to do is like a little test is go up to them personally and just show them like the shots that you want. And just like laugh at them. Then maybe I can like talk like usually be like, yo, I really love your hair. Like this looks so cool, and that can start
So
a
you do
conversation
pose
between
them.
you two.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Oh,
What
so just so
depends?
y'all
What depends?
know, just
I
so
mean,
y'all
you
know,
don't tell Zendaya what to do, right? Zendaya just says,
Donte
look.
Tyra Banks on set.
Yeah.
He will pull up in a minute. He will buzz it out on you in a minute. So yeah, he will pose. I am more so directional, but Donte will demonstrate in a minute. And everyone knows him for that. They look forward to that sometimes. So
There was
yeah,
a
he will
shoot.
pose.
We did a campaign, and I remember I was posing Cardi, and she was like, "You want to be a model so bad," and I'm like,
But
"Look."
what's funny is, now in working with her, she looks forward to that. And some people look forward to that on set. And like if Donte is not posing them, they're like, okay, good. I must be doing something good. He's not coming over here correcting me or something. So yeah. A lot of people are asking about the BFF shoot with Pierre Moss in the chat.
Yeah,
Black
I saw
Fashion
that. I
Fair.
saw that earlier. Yeah.
Shout out. Got the Black Fashion Fair shirt on.
Yeah, so Antoine, he in the chat too. Hey Antoine,
Hello.
Antoine was introduced to me by way of Donte, but
Okay.
now like he is definitely we consider him family. He is doing something amazing with Black Fashion Fair and
Mhm.
representing and showcasing Black people in fashion, and creating a database for that, and basically a hub for you to go experience these designers in that way. And we were so grateful to
Yeah. We're the first
help
ones to
him,
do that.
right, to help him, build that launch editorial with Pierre Moss. And that one represents who we are foundationally. That was a
Yeah.
very grassroots type of shoot where it wasn't a lot of the theatrics, the equipment. A lot of times on these big sets, we had like literally a gear truck of equipment, five
Yeah.
different assistants, all that type of stuff. We did have a great team on that shoot, but it was just us at a location, just doing what we do.
In
And I think
Ackworth,
that,
Georgia.
yeah, in Ackworth, at a beach that's literally like outside people's houses and stuff. So
Yeah.
that shoot, took us back to what we do best, and that's just like have fun and create from the heart. That
It was
shoot
I think it
also,
was still one of my favorite shoots to this day.
yeah,
Because it was really just all about, just good vibes, having a good time, working with Atlanta-based models, a Black mother agency with Black talent, like everybody. It was an amazing thing. And I think that was the time when, Ahmad and Antoine got to really develop their relationship as well, just as working partners, and all three of us as well too. So we were gearing up for that shoot for a very, very good minute. So we were working on it, and it came out the way that it did, and it went the way that it did online too. It felt really good, especially for the cause that it was for. And we also love Pierre Moss as a brand as well. So
yeah.
being able to work with that clothing was remarkable.
When it comes to, oh, okay, actually, let me wait for that one. I'll just ask what was in the chat real quick. Can you talk to us about your technicalities, the lighting, the camera settings, any tips in studio, etc.?
Yeah, so Dante's gonna probably say that's me, so he's not gonna say anything. But yeah, so being a self-taught person, I am very proficient in solution. Like I just figure it out. I think in working over the past 8 months, we've learned the professional way to do it.
Yeah.
But before then, we had years of figuring it out. Like, literally up until like a year ago, we didn't work with Profoto. We worked with Alien B by Paul C. Buff. I do not want y'all to think that we was out here flossing with Profoto gear on every shoot. We shoot with a Canon Mark IV,
Mhm.
and that's literally, we still to this day shoot with Canon Mark IV.
Well,
Profoto has,
we upgraded to a
oh, we have a 5DS. We've been shooting
yeah,
with a
we upgraded
5DS.
to the 5DS now.
We also shot with Phase One. We flex a couple times, but for
Ah!
the most part, part, we for the most part we shoot with like the same gear. But on the technical side, we do a lot of research. So we use our resources to reach out to people. You know, people like our Schreiber. Our Schreiber has been very receptive to teaching us and giving us information on different, you know, behind the scenes, how to what gear, what grip to use. Other photographers that we work with, you know, Dana Scruggs, Valeria, you know, people like that. You know, we have given us, you know, different knowledge on how to approach stuff. Not even knowing what job it's for, just like if we ask a question about what you think we should do to this with this and that and the third, you know, and then also bringing in the right assistants have allowed us to in the process learn different things and learn the correct way to doing things too. So
what about the time we reached out to Art Stryber once? And if y'all know Art Stryber, y'all know he's definitely like one of the top guys in the industry, has been for a very, very long time.
If you aren't following anyone on Instagram, you should be following Art Stryber, because what he does is break down every shoot. So literally he gives you the breakdown, gear list, sometimes shows the lighting setup itself. And, you know, with that, you know, we are trying to adapt that mindset also, is that no matter if we give you the formula, we still don't have the sauce. So it doesn't matter how much info we give you, you still are, we're not threatened that you can do exactly what we do. However, in the interest of sharing knowledge, it's important to follow people like Art Stryber, because he shoots some amazing stuff. And it's amazing to see how much stuff goes into a simple image. And I think
I dropped his IG.
I think without seeing someone like him, so I'll give you this. In the 8 months alone, our first job was remote, and that was Kerry, Washington. Our second job was Zion Williamson, and it was a disaster on set. We shot in
very much so.
We shot in Louisiana, New Orleans, and
it was hot.
It was hot, muggy, and it rained, and it was an outdoor shoot. So imagine literally throughout the whole day, everybody's, you know, we're not from New Orleans. So when somebody in New Orleans say, oh, it's not going to rain, it's, you know, the rain's going to skip over us. We're like, okay.
We going to believe you. We going to believe you.
We good. So, you know, by the end of the shoot though, literally we have 5 to 6 people holding up a backdrop with their hands, like,
and it's literally ripping. And this man that is almost like 7 foot tall, head almost touching the thing. We're like, crap.
It's windy. So, but we were unprepared in the way that we didn't prepare for the B, C, and D plan. We just knew what our lighting setup should have been, but we didn't plan for like wind or rain or anything like that. Honestly, I don't even think we looked at weather until the morning of.
Yeah, it was so hot. When I pulled up, the lady had came and took my temperature. She was like, I don't think you won't be able to go in. And I'm like, ma'am, it's hot. And I had just put oil on my head too. The oil that's good for your skin, not the oil that's bad for your skin. But I was like, you know, like I'm a hot box right now.
Anyway, so we left that shoot feeling like, okay, we got to be very prepared for our big shoot, which was our Zendaya shoot. Plus we're traveling to LA. So we're like, look, there's no way we're going to get to this shoot and not be prepared. So literally we ordered like one of everything. Like literally and dropped off the truck, and he was just like,
it was $4,000 worth of
equipment. It was like $4,000
oh my god.
Stuff. Also, to answer someone's question, no, Donte doesn't only shoot the portrait, and no, I don't only shoot the wide. But that is like, we know that if Donte sees something wide and he want to approach it, go for it. If I see something portrait and I want to go for it, go for it. But we switch off on that end. Sorry. Yeah. But with the Zion shoot, it taught us to be prepared. And I think since then, we've learned how to approach a shoot and being prepared the economical way, you know, on a budget. We've also learned that when they say the budget is not in question, we're going to order everything that we need. You know, we're going to go for top tier stuff. So,
can we talk about, we were shooting Zendaya on the rooftop and we saw the scrim tip over and start moving.
So that day, you know, though we ordered everything, we ordered the whole truck, we didn't, with that shoot, we were shooting at a house in Malibu, and it's our first time in Malibu, so we're not aware. We
didn't know it was going to be Chicago over there.
We're not aware of the tide picking up. So we're, the shoot actually got pushed back. So we didn't, time-wise, so we didn't think about like, okay, at 1 o'clock, the wind's gonna the wind's gonna pick up, so we need to tie stuff down because it wasn't windy, literally from 8 a.m. till 1 o'clock. So we're like, okay, everything's good. We put some sandbags on stuff, but we didn't tie it down. We're shooting a shot on the roof. We're testing a shot on the roof. We look down and literally a 12 by 12, so 12 feet by 12 metal frame on top of 2 medium rollers, which are
with sandbags.
With sandbags, very heavy duty equipment, like top of the line stuff, literally like blows over. Like literally like just picks up and blows over. And like we were just looking at it and like, oh, hey, like what? And so we tried to save it. Literally at this point, we got Zendaya on set and she's looking at us like,
I ain't standing on
yeah, I'm not.
She ain't say that, but you could look at somebody's face and be like, oh yeah, they ain't.
Yeah.
And they're like,
it was very much so like I'm not gonna stand up there until y'all figure it out, but it also looks like I'm not gonna figure it out. So cool. But that shoot again taught us another level of preparation and what we have to think about in like the weather and not just seeing that it's sunny, like what the wind is, what the forecast is and timing and stuff like that.
Amazing. So we have a lot more questions. So talk to us a little bit. So you guys are now signed. When did you all feel like, that was the turning point? When was the turning point for you guys? Say, okay, we need to be signed, but we need representation. Talk to us about that, the process of it. What was it like?
That happened. That literally happened out of nowhere. Like everything. When I tell you everything, literally happened at the same time. We're signed to the same agency as Law Roach, and how that happened is that he wanted to make sure that we were going to get taken care of on the financial tip. So he linked us with his agency, and they were just like, we're going to make sure we take really good care of you guys, and so what do y'all want to do? And so we're just like, all right, well, at that point, like earlier on, like Law was like helping us really get jobs and stuff like that. So we're getting jobs come in, and they're just like, we're not on the agency website, but they're saying that we're signed. So we're like, okay, cool, we got to figure out how to do this. And who would have known, or who would have thought that, they would have been, that was like a match made in heaven. Like we love our agent, we love Jose. We talk to Jose.
Jose probably watching too, but Jose is literally like, if you can imagine, I would say like somebody who always thinking about you, thinking like in interest of you, that's Jose. And that's the only agency has given to us, and they've given us, they took us under a risk with us because they literally had no idea who we were. Our first shoot with Zendaya, we had no like truly editorial work. Like the only thing they saw was our billboard shoot with the City Girls, but beyond that, everything was personal work. So with that, it was like they could have very well been like, I'm not interested. Good luck with that. And we'll just, work with them on this one shoot, and that's that. But, they stuck with us and they've been on this amazing ride with us, and we're very grateful. I know in the industry, a lot of people have very mixed reviews on agents and being signed. I think what we've learned is that an agency provides a certain level of support, a certain level of background support and foreground support, where they're helping develop you in some ways. There's definitely people who've been successful without agents that, they don't even need an agent at all, and they have that capacity to do that work themselves. I think we have, it's taken a lot of the workload off of us in terms of like fighting for rates or, understanding budgeting or the rights.
Being the bad guys.
Being the bad guy stuff, the business stuff, so to speak. It's not the bad guy stuff. Let's change that.
But I mean, you can also get a manager. You can also get, you can also handle it yourself. You can also insider trade, make another email for yourself and act like you're your own manager. and handle it.
Like I said, there's definitely ways for people to navigate it. I think I wouldn't seek an agent fast. I think you need to be ready for that. There's a certain level of work and volume of work you have to have the capacity for. There's also a certain level of a different level of being professional that you have to be mindful of, and working at the level that you are going to be working when you're on a website with the amazing people. So they're going to be taking a risk on you, but you also have to be ready to represent them well, because if that relationship doesn't work well, they can replace you and or drop you. So Yeah.
And so along that note, you know, what other tips, like, so really, did you guys, because you said it just happened, like, by chance, by law, but what would you say for artists here who are listening that feel the pressure to be, you know, signed or managed or
I
I
would
would
say no.
say,
don't
I
yeah,
get
honestly would say wait till an agent come to you, because I think what we love about our agency is that they are interested in us, which means that's half the battle. You know, when you're pitching yourself to an agent, you're trying to sell yourselves for them to work for you. But if your agent is already interested in you, half the battle is already done. So I would focus, instead of trying to focus on getting a representative for you, I would be focusing on strengthening my brand so that I'm sought after. Strengthening my
facts,
business practices so I'm aware of certain things. So when an agent comes to me, they can't like goop me and take my money or anything
facts,
like that. I will
facts.
prepare for those things versus trying to seek an agent. I think they're like speaking of Dana Scruggs. Dana Scruggs is a perfect example of someone who is doing it themselves, who has
yeah,
soared to
yeah,
the top. She's a history making
Multiple
photographer
times history
yeah,
making.
multiple times. So that let that be an example that you do not need an agent to be
Hmm.
great. I think an agent supports you in ways that you can't imagine, but you do not need an agent to be great. So I would not focus my energy on seeking an agent. I think
Yeah,
being aware of different agencies just to have them in mind when they do reach out, being aware of, you know, who's a part of the agency and stuff like that, not going to a big sea of an agency with that's so big that you're going to get lost in the sea of photographers.
facts,
Like those are
exactly.
things you have to think about, but I wouldn't focus on seeking an agent.
I mean, it's like I feel like finding an agent is like finding, you know, a loved one, a person that you want to be in a relationship with, because you're gonna have to talk to them every single day. You want to make sure that you like them. You know, you want to make sure that y'all choose each other as well. Like, you don't want to go into a situation to where, like, you know, you're in one agency and you're not feel like you're getting treated as well, and then you lock your contract for years. You just got to sit there, you know. So it's like make sure that even if the agency does approach you, you're not taking the first one. You know, you have that conversation, you see what their goals are for you. You know, you see how proactive they are about you, and see how happy they are to work with you, you know, to
Yeah.
get you to where you need to be. I think that's always important to, like, because like sometimes we get so caught up in wanting it because we see what everybody else has.
Yeah.
Most of the time not everybody else has it, most of the time not everybody else enjoys it,
Yeah.
but we look on the outside like, okay, it's like this looks fun because they have like that big name. Most of the time they may not even be working. So
And
it's like, you
I
go.
think that goes back into a question that you asked earlier that I don't think you touched on, but fostering those relationships outside of set is important. Outside of on those off seasons are important. Saying, you know, checking in on people. I think Donte and I do a very good job of, you know, like for example, the holiday just passed. Sending Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to people who would not have thought that you would have thought of them in that time is
Yeah.
important. Asking people, how are you doing? Not in the interest of anything. How are you doing? You know, like doing things out of just good faith and out of just being good people is important. Those people will remember those things. And I,
Yeah, even on Instagram, that's why Instagram is so important. Like, I know everybody hates Instagram because of photos and all that stuff like that, but I love Instagram because I love bonding with people through humor. So if I see something funny that either talent or somebody from the team or the PR had posted, like, we're laughing in the inbox together about it and we're having a good time, and then that builds that relationship right there. Because then when you get on set, it's gonna be fun. Like, they already know like where
yeah,
you coming at, you know.
yeah. So since you guys are both self-taught, right? There's a lot of things you just have to learn as you go.
Mhm.
But the business
well,
side of things,
I
we
went to school for film, so Donte is not completely
What?
self-taught.
Yes, I. All right. I don't know. I don't know why
what?
he's playing this. I look.
Because
Hold on. I don't know.
Donte is
But see,
studying.
Dante
Don't let him.
tweeted being self-taught is a flex, so I assumed he was
no.
self-taught.
But see, look, I am self-taught because I went to school for film. Yes, but they tricked me because it was analytical film. I had to watch films and write papers the whole 3 years. I ain't even. I barely touched the camera.
I'm just saying
So
he
But
know a little more than
being
me. Donte is a very smart
but
individual. He know what he
I'm
doing.
I am very smart. But let's just say Ahmad is older than me, so he been doing this a lot longer.
So
being
anyway,
mostly self-taught,
Yeah.
being mostly self-taught, but how did you guys learn the business side of things? So when you were approached by, like, you know, your agency, how do
Mhm.
you actually make sure that you are being, taken care of well? Like, how do you know, like, okay, this is the negotiations. Like, what role do you have with that? And setting your words and contracts and everything. Like, how did you teach yourself that side of things?
Well,
Yeah.
I come from, okay, when I say this, guys, do not be surprised. I do a lot. So I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My granddad owned businesses and stuff. So I kind of grew up in business. I also run 3 other agencies that
Three.
that are completely outside of
Okay.
photography. And in doing that, I have a base level foundational understanding of just how professionalism looks. It's not
Mm-hmm.
definitely a back end understanding of photography or contracts or anything, but it's a base understanding of when something looks right or when something doesn't feel right. So a lot of times, Donte and I may not have an understanding of what this contract looks like, but we'll look over it and I'll be like, I never seen that in the contract. We need to talk about that. Or
Yeah.
I've never seen someone act like that or respond in that way and things like that. And what that has allowed us to do is just like raise our red flag and figure things out from there.
We're also,
We've been able to tap into other friends who've been doing this longer, and maybe studied in reading contracts or it have a little bit more business acumen than us. But I have been able to infuse the base level of entrepreneurship that my family has instilled in me and in running other businesses into our business as well.
and for
Amazing.
me,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very, very important to, check with the OGs. Like I'm always talking to the OGs of photography, trying to find ways, like, just getting more insight about how this industry really works. Cause
Right.
sometimes industries are so different and there's, even though they kind of use the same thing, they kind of talk in different ways. So I'm always, consulting the OGs about what they think about this, what they think about that. Always talking to my parents, getting them to like reread contracts, cause my mom used to read contracts for a living. She used to have to read like almost 50 a day. So she knows a lot about those things as well.
And when it comes to, because a lot of photographers and creatives in general just want to be paid their worth, but we always say like new year, new rates or whatever the case is. So
Yeah.
when it comes to you guys, how do you determine that? Is it like, oh, just dropped another color, price went up? Like, how does it work?
I
How
mean,
does we approach that?
I think before we got an agent, honestly, that's the mantra I had. Like, if there was something that took my brand up a notch, yes, I did feel more comfortable charging a higher rate. So I would say that um, first, yes, I think that it's important to understand that when you get to certain levels, that do open you up into a different pricing bracket. I agree with that. I, however, would not rush to charging more because sometimes charging more opens up to a whole can of worms of different expectations and things like that. But I also think that payment. I know that we in our industry we get very strict on receiving payment for our work. And but I would say payment is something that we've learned and we're still learning. Some opportunities are not monetarily valuable, but they're valuable in other ways. That it's not even just about exposure. Sometimes it's a relationship that has been fostered between you and that person, so that when they do get
Yeah.
the bag, they'll bring you on. And I think that even outside of the 8 months that we've had in being like, in the different level that we're on, we've already always operated on that. And so that there are certain people that we are willing to work with that we just love, that are friends that, haven't
Mm-hmm.
paid us a dime ever, or that we'll work with for the low just to establish that relationship with them. I do think it's important to develop your brand though. Like, it's important to set yourself up for certain standards to say like, yeah, I mean, I'm out here shooting celebrities. I might not do the $50 photo shoots for an hour. Yeah, I mean, that you might not be at that level no more. So you might need to like
Yeah.
level up your prices. But that doesn't mean that you can just say, oh, I shot one celebrity. Now I'm charging 5K for a photo shoot. That's not
Yeah.
how it
Yeah.
works. It don't really work.
Yeah. It's really
Mm-hmm.
about, using wisdom a lot of times, and following like what your
Mm-hmm.
heart and what your gut is saying. I mean, because I mean, if you think about like, I wouldn't charge Michelle Obama the same amount as I'm charging somebody who live up the street from me that's asking for a shoot. But it's also you also got to know
Right.
that the same shoe that you give Michelle Obama, you got to make sure that you give that same shoe to that person that live down the street too. You got to treat everybody the
Yes.
same.
Yes.
My parents always said like, do things because you love, not because you can. and that's something that kind of stuck with me even when it came to business. Because no matter what, you can always have more money.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
if you're doing things solely because of money, your work ethic will start to go down a little bit because you'll get tiring. Your passion is not the same.
Yeah. We've
So
encountered people like that. Like we've encountered
yeah,
people where passion is not the focus anymore. It's about getting a bag. And I mean, there's nothing wrong. It just doesn't work for us.
Mm.
Like we have to be very passionate about the work that we do to keep the consistency of our quality and just the experience of what we
yeah,
give to people. And I think to Dante's point, I think it's important for you to know that sometimes they're not paying you, but paying for the production of the shoot. So sometimes
yeah.
may not be paying you a fee
Mhm.
at all. If we've learned one thing, my fee and what it costs to produce a shoot are two
It's
different things.
two different things, baby.
Two completely
Two
different things. So like, especially
different things.
now, when we get a rate, our agent does a very good job in breaking it down. Like, well, you're looking at this amount, understand that you got to think about EQ, you got to think about COVID testing, you got to think about
Travel,
assistance, travel,
retouching.
Mhm.
food, catering, retouching. So when all of
Shout out to
Mhm.
Raphael. He's actually retouching as we speak.
yeah.
Everybody stare at him right now.
Amazing.
So when we get to when you think about it, the business side of it, you got to think about the expenses that go into it versus just like, ooh, I see $500. Okay, but what does it cost to produce a shoot to make
Yeah.
that $500 actually work?
But
Right.
but also like think about what you love to do. Like don't just accept the job for money. Like I get like a lot of us are in very different situations, and I was in a situation too where I rarely had like much money at all. But like I've always made sure that I was doing something that I really really loved to do. That I was very very passionate about. And and it's okay to accept those money jobs to make sure that your house is to make sure that your bills are paid, but knowing that you like slipping some jobs in there that you really really love to do, so that you're not just doing jobs for money, like you're actually having fun, you're actually having an outlet.
Mhm. So you mentioned OGs in the chat, which is but what role, if any, did mentors play a role in your guys' careers up to this point?
So I
Do you
would
lean on
say,
those?
I'm
Mhm.
sorry, I didn't even let you finish your question. I'm sorry.
No, 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 no. Go
Okay.
ahead. It's literally just that.
I would say somebody that has helped us in our career again is Law Roach. Like he's a very much an OG to us. That we consult a lot. When it comes to even styling and fashion tips. If we just want to laugh, like we consult him about things. I think even Antoine, I would consider him a OG.
Ooh,
He's like
Did you
I.
ask these people
ooh,
to
you
be
about
like
to
your
get in
mentor,
trouble.
or did you just like
You about to get in
did you
trouble
just
with
like
that. Ooh.
start that
Hey,
relationship and then it just like naturally formed into a mentorship, or like how does one approach that?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
How does
Ahmad had
one
distracted me.
how does one approach like talking to like, so did you like one, you had that relationship already set, so did it just naturally form into a mentorship, or did you just say, hey, can you be my mentor?
I think it just starts with a conversation and just talking, and then as you begin to talk to people, you start to realize that like they want the best for you too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start realizing that they want the best for you and you want the best for them, it kind of turns into that naturally. It all starts with the conversation. It all starts with like a literally a genuine conversation.
And I would say like it's reciprocal. I think as much as you want to have a relationship with someone, they also have to have a relationship want to have a relationship with you. I think the OGs are not just also sometimes not just in photography. Your mentors can be other people like Dr. Joyce Wilson has been a mentor, a mom, a parental figure to me, and she's not a photographer at all, but she's
Yeah,
taught me so many things about myself, about working, about creativity, about design, about many different things. Like she will be someone that will be a mentor to me that I can consult and ask for guidance on stuff. And so that's what Donte getting at is that, there are some people who are seasoned in different topics, different areas that can become a mentor to you, but that age does not denote mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Industry doesn't denote mentorship. So I would say like the only thing to say is like start with a genuine conversation,
yeah,
gauge it, don't force it, because what's going to happen is you'll be doing all of the outreach, all of the communication, and realize that you're just speaking to yourself basically. So it has to be a duality, in that they are understanding of you and want the best for you as well.
I love that. I love that. I hope people took notes on that. So I'm pulling up Donte's tweet from just the other day. He said, I remember in college, someone told me I would be miserable being a full-time photographer. I always rejected their words because I remembered everything the Lord promised me. Now I'm a full-time photographer with a partner and paying rent, also being comfortable, extremely comfortable. I pulled that up because a lot of points were made. One, one, I just love, your faith that you have in yourself, but also, and just in general. Secondly, I want to ask when things are slow, when things aren't going well in a sense, because I'm sure like for us on the outside, we're like, oh my God, another one. Oh my God, another one. But when things are slow, like those moments of slowness that, things you at one point you didn't feel extremely comfortable. So how do you guys, keep that faith and like in yourselves and your work, and just that motivation to keep going in a sense?
I'm interested in Donte's answer to this.
Oh my gosh, I feel on the spot. Okay, so actually, I'm gonna kind of go back to with that conversation. I remember I don't remember the exact date, but I remember, people asking me all the time, like, "What are you gonna do, once you graduate?" And I always was like, "I don't know, but I just now want to do photography." And then somebody there was just like, "It's gonna be miserable." And I never received that because I just, with growing up with my parents and just having strong faith is like, I know what words to receive and I know what words not to receive. Words are very, very powerful and they carry a lot of weight, whether people want to believe it or not. And so that was one of the words that I rejected over my life. And I like rebuked those instantly because I was like, nah, I'm not going to be miserable. Yes, sometimes they're hard, but I was never at a point where it was very, very, very miserable. And so, the way I handled, slow moments back then, because it's kind of different now, but the way I handled slow moments back then, I put my focus into other things, that like other hobbies. I mean, of course, I got stressed out about money and all that stuff like that. But, I used to talk to Ahmad all the time when I felt things were going slow. I used to vent. I used to do other things. I used to just do creative shoots on the fly, just like stuff to get, that outlet going. Now, when there's slow times, we get very grateful for slow times because we know like once things pick back up, it's not going to stop. So, I feel like this month is one of our slow moments. And so like, I don't get out of bed. I mean, I'm in bed right now. So it's like, I love slow moments, and part of me is like really, really crave slow moments now because, sometimes you just miss being bored.
Yeah.
Don't take bored for granted.
Yeah. So yeah, I would agree. I think that the duality of, or the contrast, the dichotomy of slow back then, meaning you don't eat. So that's different. Because we are working so much right now, slow equals breathing room to fill our cup back up, to, replenish our inspiration, replenish our sleep, replenish our rest. Though we're not on set, we still have things to do, and, getting retouching done, getting preparing for other shoots next month and things like that. So slow for us also sometimes just means that we're not actively traveling or going anywhere. But in the past, I agree with Donte. There's been many times where it's been slow and we're like, you want to do a shoot today? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, we'll call our good friend who owns a modeling agency, or call our friend who's a stylist and a makeup artist, and be like, y'all want to link up today? Shoot through the mood board and just link up. I think the slowness is sometimes God's way of telling you that there's other things that you need to focus on, or you're deserving of this break, because when that door opens back up and you're busy again, you're going to need to be prepared for it. And that's how we look at it right now. Like, and Donte knows I am one that is kind of a workaholic. Like, I'm always going. So
he literally does not stop working.
So
it is so annoying.
When we get slow, like the busyness doesn't always in the moment affect me, but like sometimes my patience will begin to run thin, and people be like, "Oh, you're not as thought-provoking and thoughtful as you usually are because you're tired." But I think now we look at slow times to just fill our cup, become inspired, take a second to prepare for what's coming down the pipeline, just get a bearing on things.
And I think even what Lex Clark said in the chat, like your work is just as important as your rest.
Yes.
It's very, very important. Because you see people that be working like a lot, and they be looking a little dead. You be like, ooh.
Yeah.
You
Well, I
don't
mean,
want to look dead.
it's also like then you also start to notice, especially with creatives, it shows up. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes your work begins to look uninspired. It begins to look like, oh, this might not have been a shoot that you cared about. You know, it sometimes shows up, and we don't want that to happen with ourselves. Like, we want to make sure that each shoot is impactful, or you can see that
Yeah.
you can see our thread within it. And you know, God has blessed us to be extremely busy. Like, you guys
Mm.
have no understanding of, like, literally 1 week last month was in 3 different cities,
Oh my
flight
God.
every day type of thing. So like we do have busy moments, but you know, when we have resting moments and times to sit and chill, we can really breathe and figure out other things and focus on
Yeah.
other hobbies. Dante is a music artist. Go check out
Mhm.
Price Encounter, y'all. Beautiful
Oh,
stuff.
also, we also tend to pass all of our stress on to Raphael.
We do not. But I mean, but it is a situation where we do have to, you know, just take time. That's all. So when during the stressful, I mean the slower seasons, just try to think about what you can be doing to prepare during that slow times for the busyness when it comes, because it's gonna come.
When you are when you are thinking about that, but in general, like when you're thinking about shoots and whatnot, how do you like? I think this question was from Candace. I'm sorry. But how do you like manage, the creative blocks or whatever else, and whether it's, you mentioned that Dante, you just like reject that, but for those who are just
Yeah.
feeling like imposter syndrome, for example, how do you then deal with that? Those are two different questions, but yeah.
Yeah,
So I think dealing with imposter syndrome, like you have to realize that how you see you is not how everybody else sees you. So I can look in the mirror all day and be like, "Damn, I do not look good today." But you walking in the street and somebody can't stop staring at you because they think you look good. And it's like I think it's really about just like rebuking that imposter syndrome, because you have to be happy with yourself before anybody else can be happy with you. How can you expect other people to be happy with you if you're going off of what they thought? Like, what do you think of yourself? Are you happy with yourself? And if not, what are those things that you can change on your own that you can make sure that you will be happy for yourself? I think that that's very important, like having that self-confidence, and who God made you to be. Like, you're just as
Mm-hmm.
important as everybody else. You're just as important as Beyonce. You're just as important as all these big people. You're just as important as that. Your health is just as important. Who you are is just as important. you know so I think, just taking care of yourself is very, very important. Self-care. Make sure you're getting your sleep. Make sure you're getting your creativity out. Whatever you love to do, whatever hobby that is, you know, and like not being scared. Because
Mm.
another thing that hinders like that strength and imposter syndrome is if you're scared to like go out and do what you want to do. Don't be scared of rejection. Everybody gets rejected.
I mean,
Like that's
sometimes the rejection is in good interest for you in the long
yeah,
run. I think that's something that we had to learn in this wild ride of things. Like, there are so many big shoots that we, of course, can never speak on that we didn't get. But there's so many big shoots that we didn't get, just to see that it was in our best interest that we didn't get those shoots. Like, it was in our
yeah.
best interest that those things didn't work out. And I think, you know, that's a part of when we were saying fill your cup. Filling your cup doesn't mean just go on Pinterest. Filling your cup doesn't mean just sleep. You know, there's different things that can fill your cup, like, you know, venting to a friend, catching up with a friend. Me and Dante have very deep convos sometimes outside, completely outside of photography, completely outside of work, that fills our cup, you know,
Yeah.
talking with each other about, you know, concerns, about things that we're insecure about, or things that
Mm-hmm.
we want to work on, being accountable, you know, of one another, goal setting, making sure that, you know, we are intentional about the things that we're manifesting over the next month, over the next week, you know, being conscious and aware, self-aware of
We
different.
also apologize to each other, which I
Oh,
think is very, very important.
yeah. I mean,
Especially with working with a partner
yeah,
or
and I
anybody.
think that goes deeper to not just partners, but anybody that you have a deep relationship with. Like, it's important to be aware of how you affect them, even if you're it can be unintentional or not. And I think that was again a turning point for Dante and I, for us to have a moment where we had to address things that we did to each other unintentionally and
Wow.
sometimes too.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think
like being bigger people together.
yeah,
Yeah.
and growing together. So like, again, those are things that will help you kind of like evolve into a bigger, not bigger, a better person, in, professionally, interpersonally, help you work as a better creative. I think, sometimes, and I know this is going to sound very, very cliche, sometimes it's better to just step away if you're having a creative block. Like, there are many times where we have a mood board due the next morning. We'll wake up not having nothing on the page, and we'll be like dropping images. Like, we have references for days. Like, we have like so many, like, I wish I could pick up the computer, but I have like literally like hundreds of coffee table books that we look into and all that type of stuff. But it's like sometimes it's just not clicking. And sometimes you have to literally like drop everything, ignore deadline, pray on it, think on it, meditate on it, and just let it come to you. And like literally those times are the times where we literally be like, what just happened overnight? Like, how did this happen?
Everything is like there and in place.
So yeah, I would say like don't worry in those moments when it's creative block.
I hope everybody receives that. Y'all have been preaching to us. Thank you. So there have been so many questions in the chat because everyone in here are fans of your work. How can one work with you guys? Or how can they're emerging photographers. How can one be assistants? How do you become a photo assistant? How do you become a lighting assistant? Like, just talk to us about like those beginning roles that people can, aspire to work with you guys one day, or what do you guys look for? I know those are a lot of loaded questions, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Donte.
I would say like I don't think that we technically look for anything specific, because we have those people that we look towards for lighting and for digital and all that stuff like that. But I think what we look for mostly is people who like really want to learn. So if you want to come in as like a third assistant, you kind of figure out different things, figure out how this lighting goes on this light or how to set that up. Like I think that's what we're looking for the most, like the people who really want to learn, who doesn't mind, being told what to do.
Like, I want to learn, child.
Data! You have me started. I can hear that in her voice too.
But I think I think it's having that humble spirit to be like, okay, like I'm gonna listen and I'm gonna go, because a lot of times things on set happen so fast, and a lot of times you won't know that until you're actually on there. So we're always open to having people on set who like are willing to learn. We always ask our assistants that are on set, like, hey, if we take on another person, like, is it okay? And sometimes they may bring on their own person, like, hey, this person really wants to be on set. Is it okay if I bring them? We're like, yeah, like, come on, like we want to pay it forward as much as possible.
I would say just reach out, DM us, tweet us, tweet Donte. I'll try to be more active on Twitter, guys. But,
it's okay. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Reach out. I think having a general understanding of set, not in a way that is like you think you know it all, but just having a general foundational understanding of set etiquette, photo equipment, things like that will definitely be more like give us a more make us more comfortable in bringing you on to certain sets, because we do heavily work with celebrities. We do have to be mindful of who we're bringing on set and things like that, and making sure that they're representative of us, because at the end of the day, everybody is representing us. If something goes wrong, if somebody's crazy on set, they're gonna look at us crazy because they like, y'all trusted them to be on set. So we all like, it's important for us to, if you really want to work with us, develop that relationship before we reach out about assistance or anything. We'll be more likely to work with you. Email us, DM us, tweet us, all that type of stuff.
We love to talk.
But we always talk. We're very approachable and accessible. So yeah, just make that connection.
I love that. And I see everyone else does too. And you'll probably have some DMs coming soon. That is amazing. Okay, there are a few more questions. We're almost out of time. So let's see if we can get through these quickly. Thinking about your guys' body of work overall, has there been a shoot that really stood out to you guys, and who would you want to work with in the future? Because I feel like you've already worked with everyone, but who's on your guys' list? Like,
who we want to work with in the future? I feel like we always talk about these three: Beyonce, Rihanna, and Lupita.
Ooh, my Kenyan sister Lupita. Yes, all of them.
I will say we work a lot with women because we're so enamored with representing women in a way that is very royal and, you know,
Y'all are so beautiful.
they're beautiful
Yes.
flowers. So we have, honestly, I can pull up a list of like 30 people because we write lists very often
Yeah.
about like who we want. And so the list of who we want to work with is quite long. I think to Dante's point, there's definitely a top of the list that just is recurring no matter when or how we write it, where there are certain people that inspire us to work with them. And so yeah, Beyonce, Rihanna, Lupita, Dua Lipa,
Ryan, Destiny.
they range in hierarchy. Like so like for example,
Yeah.
Maya Destiny, probably somebody like y'all be like, why you want to work with her? You don't work with all these great people, but she's inspiring to us. You know, like there are people who are just their brand, their aura, their look, their feel, it's just inspiring. So we want to, work with them. I think I forget your first half of the question.
I did too. It's okay.
Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's who we would want to work with per se. And
Oh, now I remember. Sorry. Thinking about you guys' body of work, has there been a particular, moment, a shot, a photo shoot, or whatever cover, that really stood out? Like that's been your favorite?
yeah, so that's what I laughed because it changes like daily.
It
I think
does.
some shoots are traumatic because we have all of these things that happen that make the shoot like not our favorite, but then we come to look at it like, wow, this is an amazing shoot. So I think it changes. I think honestly, a lot of our favorite shoots are shoots that haven't been released just yet.
Okay.
That we're very proud
Like a
of.
Beyonce one? No, I'm
Oh,
playing.
I wish.
look, I wish
I
we all
wish.
manifested though in 2021.
Look,
I'm
we know
singing for y'all.
we know Kennedy held that secret for so long. I told her, I was like, you was
I'm
on this.
telling you,
You was
we had a conversation with Kennedy right before that drop.
yes.
And I asked her, like, do you have anything big coming out? She's like, I'm like,
Right. She said, y'all. She was like, y'all gonna have to wait and see. Ain't nobody gonna miss it. I was like, she knew this entire time. Ain't say nothing.
Yes.
But yeah, so it changes. I would say like we're very happy with a lot of the work that we've been creating recently because sometimes I think you need those shoots that show you that you are capable and that regardless of the timing, like we've had a shoot that was literally 30 minutes, y'all. We had to do like 4 or 5 looks in 30 minutes.
Wow.
And to know that we're capable of doing that it brings a reward to it. I think a lot of our work, honestly, like I can't really honestly name one that's like the one. I think
It changes.
Probably the one that you guys haven't done yet. Yes.
No,
Probably. I mean, we have our. I think, but I will say, I think that Essence with Zendaya was definitely one of our, tops. I think Billboard with Cardi was definitely one of our tops. I'm sorry, I think I see money flying in the air.
Anyway,
but and I think that the ones that we have coming out this month are some that like, well, I would say one that's coming out this month is like I think one of my personal favorites that should be coming out really soon with a very, very, powerful woman.
Yeah,
and that's all I can say.
Yeah, okay. I think it's important to also like give yourself the chance to evolve. And what that means is the shoot that you're passionate about one day won't always be the shoot that you're passionate about the next day, or the shoot that you're sleeping on and you feel like is not the greatest shoot or anything because of whatever reason. Sometimes you got to revisit those things and look at the beauty within them. Like Donte and I was doing that just this morning, where we like literally just go to our site and scroll and look and marvel at the work that we've done. And, just thinking about literally as it shows in tweets, like $8 can change a lot, like literally you never know what can change overnight to really like change your perspective on your work. It can take one shoot, it can be one image in a shoot. Like there's definitely been times where the whole shoot wasn't it, but that one image was like for us. So yeah.
And I do want to say there is in fact money flying around in front of my face right now.
That's really random.
It is.
Look at God.
It's really right.
So 2020 was really just a year of Black creatives, Black photographers. Some could say we're in a Black renaissance right now. Who are you guys' some favorite Black photographers? Who do you guys look up to right
It's
now?
hard to name. I mean, I will say like,
Oh,
even speaking about Kennedy, Dana,
Yes,
Tyler, we
Ma-
still with Tyler, Micaiah, like
Micaiah,
there's
Joshua,
mm,
Joshua.
Lawrence,
yes. I see Mark in
Denzel,
here. I love Mark.
Quill,
Yeah, so
Miles. Like, oh my
there's so
gosh,
many.
there's literally so many
I mean,
people.
I will say it what a time to say, like, these are all people that are working right now. Like these are working photographers that have covers on the stand now. You know,
Adrian Raquel,
yeah, like,
Yes,
even people from the
Adrian.
home team,
Adrian Raquel.
Renell,
Really?
Christian, Cody
Mm-hmm.
from Atlanta. I think the list is endless. There are definitely people that we are our peers that we love, that we do get
Mm-hmm.
inspired by, that we're rooting for, we're champions
Yeah,
of. We try to definitely support as many people as we can. And pay it forward, like Dante said, like, share, make people exposed, give people that exposure as well. Yeah, Adrian is unmatched. She's that girl for sure.
Adrian is like, when I tell you the top, I love Adrian with all of my heart. Like,
Yes.
I
She
love
is that
Adrian with
girl,
all of
and
my
she's so silent. And that's what's so funny. Like, if you know, you know. If you don't, you
and
don't. But
freaking Stan.
you
I'm a
see her
Stan.
work for
I'll
sure.
fight for Adrian.
I love it. I love it. Okay. I feel like I know we're very close to time. I'm so sorry. Um, let's see. Let me see if I can get one or two more questions in. So when you guys are thinking about, what is next, do you hate that term? Like, what is next for y'all? Like, how do you think about that process, and what do you, hope to do, with your guys' work? What would you want this year to bring for you all? How do you, want people to remember you guys and your journey, your legacy? Like, do you guys start thinking about that? Like, that's a lot. I know.
I I think to like, kind of sum it up, not even sum it up, I guess to kind of start it off. I think it's been very important for us to not try to dictate our future or to tell what our future is going to be,
Mm,
because we are. I think one thing that we kind of talk about a lot is that, like, our dreams is nothing compared to what God's reality is, and we never want to box ourselves in. And that's something that, like, we just been wanting to expand, and whatever that may be. Maybe that is being a director. Maybe that is being a photographer. Who knows? We may just quit being a photography duo and be a doctor duo. Like, you never know. Like, whatever the plan is, we've always been like, we're down for it, and we just want to make sure that, like, we're doing everything with our integrity intact. Like, we want to be known as those people
mm,
with great integrity, great personality, who are fun, who are loving, who is just an all around, you know, people's champ.
I love that. Um, And I guess that brings me to my last question then. For the folks in here, what, I guess, three things, tangible things, would you advise for the photographers, the creatives in here to get started on today, not tomorrow, today, to, do what it is that they want to do, whatever it's like. Maybe if they want to shoot for a cover or work with all these other people and these artists and whatever, what can they start doing today to get
I would
there?
say step one would be stop comparing yourself to people. I think it's very important for you to understand. I think 2020 has shown us there's a space for everyone. There's room for all of us. There's room
Yes.
for many more people than you can imagine. There's so much work out here. So I would focus less on comparing yourself and more on building who you are, focusing inward on really just outlining and creating that standard for who you are, what's your standard of work, what's your standard of quality, what's your
Mhm.
creative aesthetic, etc. And understanding that that doesn't come overnight, but focusing on it now versus later will do you much more good than harm. Um,
Yeah.
Ground yourself in something genuine. I can't speak for everybody's religion or higher power beliefs, but I think it's important to have something grounding you that is not rooted in just like doing or work or anything like that. Like there's definitely that proverbial filling your cup that you have to do, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's important. And it's even something that Dante has blessed me with in creating a relationship with God and things like that, and understanding how important that is. And it's not something that should be on the back seat and not something that should come second. And I think more of us, especially in the creative space, that are dealing with a lot of these exterior factors and forces, it's important for you to have your force field up in your, when you walk into set. You have your, you know, your extra shield around you, be it for just physical reasons. We are still in a Pandarosa, as Donte say. And so, you know, it's important to just, you know, be protected. Um, I don't know the third one, but that's my first two.
I said the third one is, you know, writing things down. You know, write what you really, really want to have that you're looking forward to, that you're happy about, that you want to shoot the cover, you want to shoot these campaigns, you know, and look at that list and just kind of see like, what do I have to do to get here? You know, like how exactly does my work look like this? Okay, if my work doesn't look like this, do I want my work to look like this, or do I want to just keep going in my style so that they have to come to me for that? You know, and I feel like also, you know, if you want to shoot for magazines, never be afraid to reach out to photo editors. You know, one thing that I started doing early on was, you know, I reached out to photo editors. I didn't reach out to them looking for a job like, hey, I would love to work for you guys. My thing back then was in college was like, hey, here's my portfolio. Do you have any tips? Like, I would love to be able to work with you all one day. You know, what are some, looking, if you take a look at my portfolio, like, what do you think I would need? You know, what are some tips? Like, should I focus on this? Should I focus on that? Like, that's something that really helped. And,
but
you know, that's
not to cut you off, but let's understand that Donte manifested his first campaign by doing it. Like, let's understand that these are things that work because, like, and it don't happen overnight. You know, that shoot took some whiles to manifest itself. But even with Billboard, like, I was standing next to Donte when he got his first Billboard email, and it was just a photo assignment. And it's understanding again, like reaching out to people is important. Sorry to cut you off.
Even with Billboard, it was like I reached out to them on the same tip, like, hey, you know, what are some tips that I could use in my portfolio? They reached out to me not too long after that with a job, then 2 more jobs after that, then another cover. And but what that did was asking that question and building that relationship and that conversation, they look out for us. So anytime there's a job, they're going to recommend us. They even told us, like, they would even text us little side things like, hey, make sure you look out for this, make sure you look out for that, hey, charge for this because you're this is the skills. Like, you know, the photo editors are people that really care for you too. And so make sure you just build that relationship with them.
That's that relationship for sure, because understanding that, I think something that we've learned in this past like 7-8 months is that yes,
this is the Billboard one that you were referencing.
Yes, that was the first Billboard job.
That was like, actually, let me give y'all a perspective of this shoot, because Donte always just sits on this. Donte did this shoot the same day as one of his finals. And was it the same day or like the day before or something?
No, so it was the last day of the Journeys campaign, the last day of my finals. So I didn't do it. So we basically did like 3 shoots, right?
It was the day. No, it was the last day of the campaign, and then
I did the big boy shoot, and then after the big boy shoot, I had to go to class.
Yeah, and so like understand like how stuff happens, and you even with that, like there's so many things that has happened again that we can talk on, but what we're saying is like sometimes you just never know. Like you never know who's out there coming. You never know why or how certain things work out, and you know it may not happen overnight, but it's gonna happen. So like literally, you know, just take some time, be patient, don't lose focus, don't lose sight of your goals. I think I see a lot of people like writing your not somebody said you have big boy's phone number. But no, like I think it's important for you to write down the things that you want to achieve. Like Billboard was on our list. I remember, I know we gotta go. Me and Donte took a trip to LA, and we came back from LA, and we this was like in 2018. We were like, oh well, what magazines do we want to work with? Billboard was on that list, like not knowing like we was gonna be like working with them at this level. But it was on
even the Hollywood Reporter was one.
Hollywood Reporter was on there, and many of the other magazines that we worked with. Like it's just kind of crazy to see like some of these things kind of like checking. I will say I'm glad I don't tweet, because Polly be pulling them up like
So by day, disclaimer, by day I do social media, so I know how to like find these receipts quick.
Oh, I love
but
it.
thank you guys so much. Oh my God, this has been like almost 32, I don't even know, hours of gems. Thank you both so much. Any
Thank
lasting
you.
words, any lasting comments? I know
Um,
I said, how do you find photo editors and whatever. I actually have a Twitter list on Black Women Photographers Twitter handle that I've dropped in the chat several times. Photo editors, over 100 photo editors that I put together
look
on
at that.
Twitter. So you can just look at the list from Black Women Photographers to see that. There's over 100 global editors there. LinkedIn is a great source. Literally anyone you want to find. Dana has said this several times on Clubhouse, Dana Scruggs. LinkedIn.
Yes,
Everyone is on there.
LinkedIn.
But you guys, any lasting words, comments, things like that?
Love you all so much. Thank you for 142 of you. Thank y'all for just coming here, listening to us ramble, laughing with us, enjoying with us. I wish we could have a dance party, but we can't. And just, thank y'all for just being supporters of us and even, listening to what we had to say. It really means a lot, and even supporting us. And, just, and that's a tip of advice would be to, just stay humble, stay loving, do things because you love and not because you can.
Yeah, thank you all.
Amazing.
We appreciate the support.
Thank you guys so much.
Air hugs.
Air hugs.
Virtual hugs. Oh my goodness. Okay, we just took. Thank you. Y'all are two living legends. We are giving you your flowers while you're here. Thank you, everyone. I already dropped the information in the chat, but feel free to keep sharing the gems online at Black Women Photographers on Twitter, Instagram, wherever. You can check out our global database at blackwomenphotographers.com. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to Lightroom. I will be giving away an Adobe Lightroom and Photoshop bundle at the end of this. So shout out to them for that. And I think that's it. Thank you guys. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.